The last thing I want to talk about in this particular clip is 3 major issues in developmental psychology. So whenever we're looking at a certain trait or a certain characteristic, keep in mind 3 major dimensions. The first one, of course, is the nature-nurture issue that I talked about before. Things like intelligence, things like learning how to speak, all of this. Most of the cognitive processes, memory, where are these coming from, these skills? Is it nature? Is it in the actual gene itself? Or is it nurture? Is it coming from the environment? So whenever we're looking at these various developmental milestones, we have to consider where is it coming from, nature or nurture? And as I mentioned before, which one is having the most influence? The other one is continuity and discontinuity. These sound like big, confusing terms. They're really, really quite simple. Continuity just means continuous over time. Discontinuous means there is an abrupt shift. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you were very, very shy as a child. Are you going to be shy when you're 15 years old? Are you going to be shy when you're 30, even when you're 50? That would be continuity. This particular trait is continuous throughout your whole lifespan. So it just evolves. You might be shy about different things as you get older, but at the same time, that is still there. The other side of that is discontinuity. Maybe you were shy when you were a child, and then you went to school, and you met some friends, and you became very confident, and there was an abrupt shift in the way that you related to people. You became very outgoing. I was quite shy as a child. And then when I went into my first job was part-time working at Eaton's, and I became, very, very outgoing, and I was talking to customers, and I developed different friends. I started to get out of puberty, so that was a big lift. And that made me more outgoing. So someone who adheres to a discontinuity perspective would say there's an abrupt shift in the way that you have developed. So that again is this developmental progression continuous or is it discontinuous? And that's all that terminology means. Last one here is normative versus ideographic. Normative is norms. How do most children develop? Do we all develop at around 2 years old, learn how to talk and how to walk? So we focus on the actual generalizations of human development in general. So what is the average? So think of norm as an average. What is the average age when you go to school? What is the average age when you start to be able to form certain words or make sentences or understand, higher cognitive processes? And the other one is ideographic. This is just the complete opposite. We're looking at the individual, something unique about one person. So for instance, I don't know whether you've heard of the story of Jeannie, but Jeannie was a 13-year-old girl who had been put into her father's house in a back room and held there pretty much hostage until she was 13 years old. She was chained to a potty chair. She wasn't allowed to have any interaction. Nobody even knew she was there. And she never developed language because of that. So, of course, she's a really, really good example of an ideographic study. Think of ideographic as a case study, one person only. It's very, very interesting, but as I'm talking about this, think of the downfalls with that. Looking at one person doesn't allow you to make generalizations or to develop theories about human population in general. It was only one person. So maybe something unique about that one person. And there was with Jeannie. It turns out that maybe she was suffering from mental challenge, and that was why she could never learn language. So again, while they make interesting studies, you can't really take them to apply to all people like you can with the normative approach. When you watch biographies on TV, you're actually looking at ideographic research. So again, we'll be coming back to these issues throughout the whole course.